this is Snaily Snail. So today I thought I'd tell you stories from Chinese school. This is going to be about the weekend Chinese school that I went to. It was primarily on Saturday. 我5年級嗰陣時，我諗其實覺得我應該學完呢中文，同埋我亦要朋友佢上呢中文課。佢嘅媽同我嘅媽講，其實咪講哦。你個女亦應該學完呢中文，其實我亦要好幾個朋友，其實也去佢嘅中文班。講我同我嘅朋友同我嘅弟弟，我上1年級嗰陣時，真係太容易。It was like 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，我已經識幾個書，我依家又要學過。我同我嘅朋友，我課時嗰陣時，我講 OK。我有轉班，佢嘅班我諗我同埋我嘅朋友係對嗌過，個個年我諗7歲8歲，或者對晒嘅係6歲。We stuck out a lot。我阿姨翻來屋企先，我講 Oh my God， 其實教我幾有叔叔，我講我已經學過好幾同埋佢呢，佢講 OK fine， 你也都上2年級，one upgrade。我下個星期。上1年級嗰陣時，佢已經要考試。我啱啱小學問咗補課，明要5分鐘已經 OK 聽寫。什麼聽寫 ？And that's when I learned, oh, 聽寫 is very hard. 聽寫 is exactly what it sounds like. So 聽 is like listening, and then 寫 is writing. So you write what you hear. And I did not understand anything that I heard that day. It was so bad. 攞數還飯揾得餐飲陣時 it was not pretty. 我同埋我個朋友我其實唔合格，就又翻屋企嗰門，那家長阿媽都填名 like right next to our score. Our scores were so bad that it was below failing. But don't worry about me because 下個餐飲我已經準備好 so另個餐飲我諗我考90幾分或者100分。Okay, and then later on I got first place. 你考第1名、第2名同埋第3名，其實同步去1年10。So you know me, 發騰團。So of course I want that money. I confess, my friends and I, we cheated a lot in Chinese school. 我嗌翻來我嘅成績表嗰陣時，我下邊其實會寫你第幾名，我嘅成績表寫第1名。講我媽媽喺嗰陣時，佢講你就係好 high。有時佢講你第1名就係我係第1名。Because especially in the beginning，佢同我會一睇圖當日，講我嘅弟弟佢圖我嘅媽咪都病。我喺中文班我就係一個星期跟1數，雖然我就係星期6跟，所以我星期5嗰陣時 ，Oh my God， 強烈哭 because Chinese homework was hard， 同埋亦要學。And I was like why？ 有時諗翻流眼淚，講我又學佢又學。Fridays were not fun in my household. 我記得有一年我2年級，我唔小心講 they instead of the. This is what I don't like about Chinese. It's like same character and it's pronounced differently depending on the context. Because of that incident, it became pinyin for a whole month. 我個人有學波波摩佛到聽到了個 and then it's like ROE. It does not matter how many times I go because 我的聲調 is just forever going to be 很亂。佢本身呢故事大部分我已經用英文聽過 ，so like the Three Little Pigs, you know, you've already heard that。我記得一個故事，係一個三面隊，佢問嘅個爸爸，依家嘅月亮見我到，我行佢又行，我跑佢又跑 ，and I was like, girl, seriously 。我課時嗰陣時會學呢生度，講你學生度嗰陣時，其實每課會問有幾個筆畫嘅意思係咩，同埋阿媽都真呢個數。對人翻嗰陣時，我一睇有呢一句，我翻學嗰陣時，我要一個中文老師，佢講我同步有愛讀 N， 我有屋企已經要中文讀 N， 但係我又唔識佢用，同埋出病人堂已經甩得。Everything clicked after someone explained to me how to use a dictionary. So the reason why they kept asking me like what the radicals were and how many brush strokes there were in the word is because when you're looking it up in a dictionary, there's like this directory, and in the directory I'll have all the radicals, and then next to the radicals is like the number of strokes, and that is how you find the character, and then you can get the English definition. Whoever came up with this was like, oh my god, trying to torture us or something. But I could see that it's a decent system. Because it would take me 5 years to flip through every single page to find what I'm looking for. So like some of the radicals were like 宝盖头, 凸宝盖, and 当然旁. Oh my god. My friend used to make fun of me because I didn't know the Chinese for 当然旁, so I just wrote dang ren pang. 我屋只有我諗6年級，但係我諗之後5年級同埋6年級，我已經讀幾讀當日，或者會要一個兩個問題，我唔識幾學鴨，講我會問，係咪都幫我？有一次我諗我嘅媽咪佢加班 or something， 佢講我有幫我嘅弟弟讀當日。我覺得佢嘅攞數比我嘅攞數好呢，因為我嘅呢攞數其實唔識講英文，即係好數其實會用廣東話解釋講我嘅，就係我能 like I think I get it, but I'm not sure if I do. And then 我嘅弟弟個版佢嘅攞數識講英文，所以我下邊同伴一度會要翻譯。And I was so jealous. Oh my god. Like, why didn't I have that? And then 我去佢本事能時，佢已經讀晒同步佢呢當日。So I was like, what do you need me for? And so he was like, oh, 我其實係想你幫我練習幾好寫得到，我很多要想寫。I was like, oh god. 佢呢記性唔係幾好。He was also a little kid, so I don't really expect him to remember all these random words. 我會幫佢諗出呢故事，所以佢也都記。但係佢呢考試同我呢唔同，佢個老師會問你阿媽都翻譯用英文。So I was like, oh god, you have to know the meaning too. Yeah, so he had a word like 宝. And then I was like, okay, so it means treasure. And so there was this king, you know, Wang, you know, the 3 strokes. This king had a mole or something on his face. So you're going to put a dot right there. And then because he's a king, he lives with lots of nice treasures on top of his roof. So then you're just going to draw that on top. So those were the types of stories that I would tell my brother so that he would remember. 下個星期有攞數玩飯同伴得測驗嘅時，佢考要80幾分。It ended up being the highest quiz grade he's ever gotten. And then my mom was like, I think you need to help your brother every single week now. And I was like, no, I have my own classes to worry about. Later on, my brother and I, we stopped going to Chinese schools on the weekend just because it was expensive. And to be honest, it didn't seem like it was sinking in. It was also getting to the point where no one could really help us with our Chinese homework. Homework 上高中嗰時，我已經好認真學中文，我也要好好測驗。My mom would always ask, oh, 你聽緊乜老師講啊？我好時會唱歌，就我唱歌嗰時要拼音 on top， 佢要呢中文讀，佢下邊呢度要英文翻譯。好時我嘅老師會講一個故事，佢問阿媽都翻譯，可能個同學有講係二個故事，and then you just like popcorn around. Yeah, so that's how we learned Mandarin for the most part. I always wondered, so like 为什么? Why did they always sing 什么? And then I'm like, I thought it was 什么? Yeah, so I'm so glad I finally got that answered. And she was just like, yeah, sometimes when you sing, it just works out better with 什么. So I was like, okay. All right, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week. Bye. Call